Hey, good morning, grade eights. How are you? Welcome to, I don't know what session this is, 5 or 6, Math with Oreo. And today's topic is a review of like years ago, plus last year as well. And actually, we touched on this in the fall, and that is adding and subtracting of fractions. So it's a bit of a review today, but I'm going to start basically from grade 5 and work our way up all the way into grade 8. So this is going to be a lot of stuff here today. So I'll probably break this up into at least 2 videos. One video for adding, which we're starting here, and then another video for subtracting. So buckle up, get comfy, maybe make some popcorn, pour yourself your favorite drink. Hopefully it's not too sugary. Or I don't know, crack a Monster if your name is Kyle, or a Red Bull if you need wings to get through this. So here we go. Adding. Number one rule for adding fractions. What is it? Can't hear you. That's right. You need common denominators. Okay, that does say denominators. It's a different language, but it's all good. Okay, so number one rule, common denominators. You always got to keep that in your mind. Okay, so let's start with an easy one from, I don't know, grade 4. Here we go. So 3 over 5 plus 2 over 5. Okay, referring over to rule 1, common denominators. Hey, look, our denominators, they're already the same. There's not a lot to do there now, right? We can just go right ahead and add. But remember, sorry, I kind of went, oh, I'm off screen. What's going on? Did he fall? No, I didn't fall. I'm just, like that. So, sorry, we got the common denominators. So what do we have to do? We got to add. But we just don't add everything together. Okay, there's rules for that too. We can only add the numerators. Only add the numerators. We don't add the denominators. Those denominators stay the same. So 3 plus 2 is 5. And the denominators of 5, they stay the same. So our answer is 5 over 5. Now, a lot of you are going to recognize right away, well, isn't 5 over 5 or any number that in a fraction is over itself? Doesn't that equal 1? It does. So we'll finish that off with 1 because that's the answer. Okay, so that's our first example. Now, let's get into our second example, a little trickier. I'm going to keep this rule up there because it's always going to apply, okay? So here's the next one. Call it number 2, 7 over 10 plus 1/2 or 1 over 2. Rule 1, common denominators. Well, unlike the first one, we don't have common denominator. So what do? Well, we need to find what's called the lowest common multiple. So the lowest common multiple. Now, sometimes, remember, we have to find the greatest common factor for certain things, but that's only when we're simplifying. We're not simplifying right now, we're adding. So when we're adding and we need to find common denominators, we need to find the lowest common multiple between 10 and 2. So when we're talking about common multiples, we're talking basically like skip counting. When we skip count by 10 or by 2, what's the first or lowest number that they have in common? Now, some of you can do that right away, but if you're unsure, what I like to do is I like to start with the smallest number first, so the number 2. So let's start with the number 2 right there, and I'm just going to skip count by 2. 4, 6, 8, 10. Whoa. Stop. 10. So the lowest common multiple is 10. Makes sense. So what that means is we've got to make that 2 into a 10. Now, there's only two methods to change a fraction into an equivalent fraction. This is basically what we're doing, and that is through multiplying or through dividing. Okay, we can't add, we can't subtract, only multiply or divide. So this is how that looks like, or this is what that looks like. Well, hopefully it's math, it's not grammar. So, okay. So I'm going to write 1 over 2 down here, just like that. And I'm going to write a multiply, because I can't divide here. 2 is a prime number. There's nothing for me to divide to get to 10. Can't do it. So I'm going to multiply. And because I'm making an equivalent fraction, whatever I multiply 2 by, I have to multiply the 1 by. So whatever I do to the bottom, I got to do to the top. And remember, I'm trying to get it to 10. So 2 times what equals 10? Well, most of you recognize right away 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. That's 5. 5. So whatever I do to the bottom, I do to the top. So I'm going to write 5 up there. 1 times 5 is 5. So the equivalent fraction with the denominator 10 to 1 over 2 is 5 tenths. I can use that now to add. So I'll shoot it over here. 7 tenths plus our new equivalent fraction that has a common denominator of 10, 5 tenths. Okay. So again, when we're adding, here I am. When we're adding, we only add the numerators up. We leave the denominators the same. So 10, 7 plus 5, we got a dozen. So 12 over 10. Now, some of you are going to recognize pretty quickly here, hey, Mr. O, that's an improper fraction. Yeah, it is. That's right. It is an improper fraction. So we need to then convert that into a mixed number. Now, most of you should know how to do this. We've done a ton of it. 12 over 10 equals, well, how many 10s are in 12? Or what times 10 equals close to 12 without going over? What's 1? 1 times 10, that's 10. I'm going to write that answer right up there. 12 take away 10, it's 2. And the denominator stays the same. So 1 and 2 tenths. Now, we can leave that. The answer is right, but there's a way to actually get it more right. And that is to simplify 2 over 10. So without getting too much into that, because again, we're more focusing on the adding of fractions, not so much on the simplifying right now, but some of you, or actually most of you already know how to do this, okay? That we can divide both top and bottom by 2 to simplify it into its lowest terms. So 1 and 1/5 would be our answer. So 7 tenths plus 1/2 equals 1 and 1/5. All right, that's it for example 2. Again, if you have any questions with any of this stuff, message me. Okay, using Edsby, message me, and I'd be glad to keep working with you on some of this stuff. So I'm going to erase this. We'll move on to example 3. This is the most exciting part of the instructional video right here is watching me erase. I know that. All right. Example 3 is going to get my notes. And there we go. All right. Change it up here a little bit. Again, we're kicking up the level of difficulty here a little bit. So we have 3.5 plus 5. Okay. So we have a mixed number and we have a whole number. And a mixed number, again, is just a whole number added to or combined with a fraction. So 3.5. So what do we do with something like this? Well, it's actually quite simple. All we need to do is separate the mixed number into its parts. So what are the two parts that 3.5 are made of? Well, 3 and a half. Now, leaving the half just for a second, now we have 3 and 5, both whole numbers. So because they're both whole numbers, they're both kind of the same, we can combine those. Again, we can only combine what are called like things. Well, 3 and 5 are like things. They're both whole numbers. So 3 plus 5 equals 8. Now remember, we have this guy just kind of hanging out over there, that half. Well, combine it now with the 8. Well, that's even, I can write it like this, it doesn't matter. So a half plus 8, well, if you had 50 cents in your pocket and someone came up to you and gave you a $5 bill, 2 loonies, a toonie and a loonie, okay, you have now $8.50 or $8.50. It's easy, just combine them, right? So that's example 3, how to add a mixed number and a whole number. Again, separate the 3.5 into its parts, combine like things, so the 3 and the 5, and add the fraction at the end. Bob's your uncle. Excellent. Going on to example 4. We're going to kick up the difficulty with this one yet again. Example 4. Here we go. So 2 3/4 plus 2 1/2. Okay, so what's different with this one? Well, it's 2 mixed numbers now. Okay, not a big deal. We're going to follow the same steps that we did with the last one. And that first step is separate the mixed numbers into their parts. Okay, so 2 3/4, that equals a 2 plus 3/4. 2 1/2, that equals 2 1/2. Now we can combine those things. Well, what's 2 plus 2? I'll put a little plus sign there. That's 4. I'm going to circle that. I'm going to circle that because I'm going to come back to it later. I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to deal with this 3/4 1/2. I'm going to do it over there. So I'm going to rewrite it. 3/4 plus 1/2. And then we go back to the first example, or the second example rather, and always common denominators. We have a 4 and a 2. Those aren't common. So we got to make them common. Again, what we're looking for here is the lowest common multiple between those two. Start with the smaller number, 2, and skip count. 2, 4. There, done. 4. So we're going to multiply again. And we've got to make this 2 into a 4 through multiplying. So 2 times what equals 4? 2. And whatever we do to the bottom, we do to the top. So 1 times 2, 2. So instead of 1 over 2, we're going to use 2 over 4. So I'll rewrite this whole question. 3 over 4 plus 2 over 4 equals. When we are adding fractions, again, we only combine or add the numerators, the top numbers, and the denominators, they stay the same. So 3 plus 2, 5. 5 over 4. Now, most of you, again, are going to recognize that, hey, that is an improper fraction. So we got to convert that into a mixed number. How many 4s in 5? There's 1. 1 times 4, that's 4. So 5, take away 4, there's a 1 left there. and the denominator stays the same. So 3/4 plus 1/2 equals 1 1/4. Excellent. Okay, and that doesn't mean we're done. I just forgot. Remember, I circled this 4. I have to do something with this 4. I have to combine it with that 1 1/4. So that 1 1/4, it's interesting because that 1 1/4 is now a mixed number. So how do we add a whole number and a mixed number? Remember, we've got to separate that mixed number, 1 1/4, into its parts. So it's 1 plus 1/4. Okay, so we're going to add the 4 to it. 1 plus 4, that's a 5, plus that 1/4, 5 1/4. That's really messy. I'm going to redo it. I feel shame. Bring that down, 5 1/4. So 2 3/4 plus 2 1/2 equals 5 1/4. Hopefully you guys got that. It is a little messy, but I trust that you'll be able to figure that out. So that's it for the review for adding fractions. Again, if you have any questions or comments, do it right on Edsby and I'll help you out. And that's it. So stay tuned for video 2, which is subtracting of fractions, and it'll follow the same format. We'll start easy and we'll get difficult. All right. Peace out. Miss you guys.